All right, thank you for staying with us. With projects such as Africa Continental Free Trade Area, debt management is the top on the list to drive economic sustainability among the continent. Recently, 15 West African nations put up a plan to link up their debt markets, a track to become a reality by the end of 2023, and part of a wider push towards great integration from their economies and finances. The aim is to open up the debt auctions of individual countries to investors from across the economic community of West African states. Now, what efforts are there to drive making sustainability the mainstay of debt management in ECOWAS? And joining me to do this is the Commissioner, Debt Management Roundtable and Nigerian Economic Summit Group, Sir Kenneth Ofori-Boateng. Good afternoon. It's good to see you, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, straight to our discussion. It's really good to see you again. First, is sustainable debt management achievable in ECOWAS in the medium term with what we have on ground? If yes, how?
Well, it's a difficult question to ask for now, but I must say it is achievable. But if certain conditions will be met, then we can say with a strong view that we can achieve it. Everything is achievable. But the question, as you said, if yes, how, is that you see the issue of debt and its sustainability actually has come to the forefront when we, the sub-region realized that we are heaping debt. Even before the COVID, we all knew the circumstances that was pertaining, in the sub-region. So there's much appreciation of the issue. If you go to a media landscape, you can see everything happening there. You come to Ghana and you see the opposition very, very angry about the kind of debt we are accumulating. You go to academia, we have had the opportunity to present our ongoing work in most academic, seminars. And I think for the mere fact that we are appreciating the issue in itself is a first approximation to dealing with the matter. Now, if countries will be able to, adhere to some of the suggestions we are giving, then we can be very sure. But let me be more specific. You see, the issue here is that each country, I can say that every country in West Africa has at least an institution that is responsible for debt management. And if you come to Ghana, the fiscal committee, Nigeria has a couple of institutions doing that, and that is what is happening. But are they ready to do what they are supposed to do? Especially if the government will listen to them. Sometimes when it comes to events like the COVID situation where more debt is being added because of COVID, and COVID is still with us. COVID has not gone yet, and therefore they have all the justifications to spend more. If they continue to do that and spend recklessly, then this will become a very difficult thing. So what can they do as a sub-region? The first thing is that there's the need to tackle the revenue aspect. You all know that the threshold for about 20%, the 20% threshold for the sub-region is not being, except for Cape Verde and Benin, Togo, are those that are doing well. So if we can tackle the revenue part very well, then especially the tax revenue, because that is where we have major issue. Now, if you come to Ghana, for instance, you see that recently a study was done, and they found out that even the formal sector, about 40% of people are not paying tax. Either they are paying or they are not paying the right taxes. And so the government, to do this, has decided to turn our national identification card as our TIN number. The TIN used to be the tax identification number, where people were not doing the right thing. So now that we are using your ID card as your tax identification number, then there are several things you may not be able to do if you do not have. So we need to improve on our revenue. The next thing is also to avoid reckless expenditure. As I indicated, there are more expenditure going on, and they are justifying why they are spending more. But the question is, as Stabilina and Alicina will say, if you do not have the resources to spend, why do you spend? Why do you borrow to spend? Spend according to your means. And so if the sub-regional governments will be careful, will be judicious in their expenditure, this is where we mean efficiency in spending, then we can be sure that it is going to help in what? In controlling the debt situation. We need to also grow the economy. How do you grow the economy? We need to, this is where specific country, needs are very important. If we can grow the economy, while the economy grows, then debt to GDP issues we are discussing will also indirectly be handled. Policies needed to stabilize debt are the key things that the sub-regional, institutions that are mandated to handle debt should be doing. How feasible are these policies, and how consistent are they in terms of maintaining growth and potential, or a growth potential, or a development progress? You see, these are key things, and of course, we cannot ignore the issue of corruption. People are taking advantage of the current pandemic and making a lot of money for themselves. And so, if we can also curb corruption, and above all, improve business environment, where we make the private sector to be the main, the one that is leading the growth agenda, then I think with this together, we should be able to handle the issue, and debt management to be it will be achievable. That is what I would say for now.
All right. Now, my next question is on the possibilities of navigating country-specific debt accumulations and debt management processes. I think you've touched part of that in the first response, leveraging on the DMR research. What can we expect from the DMR following the launch of this research report?
Yes, the DMR, as you indicated, was launched a long time ago. That was the early part of this year, around March or so. And when we launched it, we had a very clear agenda. So we had a very clear agenda as to what we wanted to do. Now, so far, one of the key things that came up is that there are country-specific issues when it comes to debt accumulation. Because what is making Ghana to accumulate debt may not be the same as what Liberia may be facing. Senegal, and for that matter, we needed to zero down to specific countries. Now, we decided to do a profile of debt, trying to understand the origin, the types of debt, whether some of them are concessional and all those ones. By doing this, I think it has given us an appreciation of the debt situation in each country. And if you take Ghana, for instance, you see that Ghana's situation before the COVID was very clear that we had an overgrown civil service. And because of that, government was spending so much on salaries. We also know that the banking crisis that we had, inflation and other variables were not too good. But when we went to the IMF, all you can see, or what we can say, is that the IMF sort of instilled a kind of discipline in the expenditure side, because to every budget is the revenue and expenditure part, and because IMF was involved, they were able to discipline the authorities to be able to operate within a certain trajectory, and that helped in, say, before the COVID, we saw that Ghana was doing very well. We improved from a 2.2% GDP to 2.8. I mean, to about 8%. Projected 2019 was 8%, and inflation came from somewhere 19 to a single digit. You saw the exchange rate depreciation has been very nice. So you see that we know what to do, but the thing is, are the people ready to do exactly what we're doing during the IMF time? So the country-specific things, as we have identified, is giving each country an understanding of why we have gotten to, why we have gotten to where we are, and that in itself is a first approximation to dealing with the matter. And so I can say that the DMR has the research that we have done so far by profiling the debt situation, and by trying to look at the macroeconomic performance of the region, are all ways that has already, given us a clue. And some of us are presenting this everywhere. Wherever we get opportunity, we present this. And I think I've invited a couple of your friends from Nigeria to also make presentations online to some of these seminars. And I think that in itself, we are beginning to deal with the matter. But we haven't finished. We are still, the research is ongoing. And so we think that before we finish, we'll be able to come out with a very strong policy direction for the sub-region.
All right. Now, what strategies does the DMR propose to ensure ECOWAS governments particularly implement this, its recommendations sustainably?
Well, like I indicated, the research is ongoing. We had a very clear mandate. And when we come out, after we have finished the whole thing, because let me just take the opportunity to mention some of the key things that we try to, or the roadmap that we try to look at. We were trying to have a contextual overview of the economies of West Africa, which we have done by looking at the macro performance, trying to look at the landscaping aspect of the sub-region. We have done that, and we have been able to understand the revenue expenditure gap. We have also been able to look at the budget situation, how budgeting is done across the sub-region. In terms of resource management in the sub-region, how are we managing even our resources? And the roadmap was said that we were also to look at, profiling the debt situation, so that we'll be able to know the origins of all these debts. We'll be able to know the terms that the debts are, the coverage and all that. It may interest you to know that even if you look deeper into the debt situation in the sub-region, you'll be surprised that there are more debts than the sovereign organizations, those rating organizations will have been using to assess our debt situation. You see that most companies, municipal assemblies and state-owned enterprise also are incurring debts, and these debts are guaranteed by what? The government. So indirectly, when we are assessing debt risk, all these are part of it. So after the profiling, it has given us a kind of understanding of whatever is happening, and what are even the drivers, the sources of the efficiency of these loans. We have looked at all of them. And that thing that we tried to do was to look at the public, public debt and economic, development within the sub-region. Now, we have gotten somewhere here. We are trying to do the dimension of the impact. We are trying to look at the risk assessment of debt, and then whether there is a need for restructuring of these debts are all some of the key things we are doing. Now, when we finish this, we will then be able to itemize and, of course, give an objectively verifiable indicators that we feel that this should be the way to track whether the countries are doing well or not. Okay, and so until the entire work, the commission's work is over, we will not be able to actually say for now. But we are very sure that we are going to have policy briefs after we have finished with the entire project. We will have policy briefs. We're going to have proposals for policy reforms. We are going to advise specific countries as to how we are going to restructure their loans, so that at least it can ease them to be able to spend on more social things that will generate growth for the sub-region. We are also thinking of the fact that when we launch the report, we expect that we can have some policy dialogues, we can have some policy fora, and all these things are some of the strategies that we'll be using to make sure that we force the sub-regional leaders to adhere to these strategies. So that is what we will be doing after we finish the entire project.
Very interesting, dear Doctor. Let's wrap up on this note. When you have initiatives like this, measuring success is also key. So how do you measure success of your research interventions in West Africa's debt management challenges?
Yeah, so I think the good thing is that we have commissioners representing each country.
Okay.
And we keep having series of meetings together, and what we think at the end of the whole project will be that we're going to have some kind of KPIs, so what we call objectively verifiable indicators. Okay, so once we have them, then that will help us to be able to track, because we did risk assessment and we have developed indicators that are contextual for the region. Now, these indicators that we have developed are so important that in case anytime there's going to be a shift or a shortfall in any of them, it gives us an indication that these are early warnings, signs that the country is moving into a distress situation. And so the sum of it is that they're going to be some KPIs, or what we call some objectively variable indicators, that we are going to use to monitor, and then we'll be able to advise country presidents or those who are in charge of debt management accordingly.
All right, there. It's a good way to live it. I've been speaking to our own Dr. Boateng there, talking to us about debt management sustainability. He joined us live from Ghana there. I must thank you so much for giving his insights into this very important topic, making sense of this. We'll take a break. He's the Commissioner for Debt Management Roundtable at the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, Dr. Kenneth Ofori-Boateng. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much.